We stand with the truckers, and we stand with the Canadian people in their noble quest to reclaim their freedom.
We're about to have the ultimate clash. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. In today's top story, we got 5 things that Donald Trump has said about Justin Trudeau. We already know Donald Trump not exactly liking Justin Trudeau. It's mainly because Justin Trudeau has been a Weasley rat to Donald Trump. So let's take a look at what Donald Trump has to say about Justin Trudeau and to get a sense of essentially how hard it is going to be for Justin Trudeau once Trump actually gets back into power. So this article here coming from the Counter Signal says 5 things Trump said about Trudeau. The first one here we've got calling Trudeau weak and dishonest. That is true. We got a tweet here from Donald J. Trump says, PM Justin Trudeau of Canada acted so meek and mild during our G7 meetings, only to give a news conference after I left saying that US tariffs were kind of insulting and he will not be pushed around. Very dishonest and weak. Our tariffs are in response to his 270% on dairy. Trump's the kind of guy who respects power. That's why he's just going to be better off dealing with Pierre Poilievre, a strong man on the right side of the political spectrum. Second up, we've got Donald Trump calling Justin Trudeau two-faced.
Prime Minister Trudeau talking about you last night.
Well, he's two-faced.
Do you think that Germany is too naive?
And honestly, with Trudeau, he's a nice guy. I find him to be a very nice guy. But, you know, the truth is that I called him out on the fact that he's not paying 2%. And I guess he's not very happy about it. I mean, you were there, a couple of you were there, and he's not paying 2%, and he should be paying 2%. It's Canada, they have money, and they should be paying 2%. So I called him out on that, and I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but that's the way it is. Look, I'm representing the U.S., and he should be paying more than he's paying, and he understands that. So I can imagine he's not that happy, but that's the way it is.
So something interesting about Donald Trump, if you look at the different interviews, the different documentaries out there, Johnny Harris has got one, even though he's run his campaign in really simple terms in a lot of aspects. I mean, even just the last example there of Joe Biden calling essentially half of America garbage, and then Trump shows up in a garbage truck. While these seem like simple approaches, if you look at the documentaries, Donald Trump is a guy who really knows how to read someone really well. He's really good at first impressions and getting a scan on someone, and well, it didn't take long for Justin Trudeau to show his true colors, though. We've got number 3 here. Trump called Trudeau a far-left lunatic. This is during the Freedom Convoy in 2022. In official statement, Trump wrote, Facebook and big tech are seeking to destroy the Freedom Convoy of truckers. The Freedom Convoy is peacefully protesting the harsh policies of far-left lunatic Justin Trudeau, who has destroyed Canada with insane C-word mandates. So it goes on to talk about he invoked the Emergencies Act and all that. I mean, he's right. He is a far-left lunatic. And with the far-left lunatic, we've got this one, number 4. It says Trump accused Trudeau of woke tyranny.
The tyranny we have witnessed in Canada in recent weeks should shock and dismay people all over the world. In an advanced Western democracy, the peaceful movement of patriotic truckers, workers, and families protesting for their most basic rights and liberties has been violently put down. Their assets and life savings have been frozen. They have been slandered as Nazis, racists, and terrorists. These are the names they've been called. They've been arrested and charged with phony crimes. They've been falsely accused of loyalty to foreign powers. I watched them. I saw those maple leafs all over the flags and the love for their country. Plenty of Americans were there too, and they love our country. They're being hunted down like enemies of their own government and treated worse than drug dealers and murderers or rapists. A line has been crossed. You're either with the peaceful truckers or you are with the left-wing fascists, and that's what's been happening, and it's been a strong line. We stand with the truckers, and we stand with the Canadian people in their noble quest to reclaim their freedom.
I mean, what Justin Trudeau did during that time was just awful. It'll go down as one of the worst moments in Canadian history. Number 5, we got Trump called Trudeau a communist and speculated that he could be related to Fidel Castro. In August 2024, Trump said in an interview, they say he's the son of Fidel Castro and could be. Anything's possible in this world, you know. Moreover, in his book, Save America, Trump noted that Trudeau's mother was somehow associated with Castro and wrote, "A lot of people say that Justin is his son." Trump further said, "He swears he isn't, but how the hell would he know? Castro had good hair, his father didn't. Justin has good hair and has become a communist just like Castro." Now, what's really interesting about this is at the bottom here, it says, Justin Trudeau faced significant backlash for his statement on Fidel Castro's death in November of 2016. The Prime Minister's official remarks describing Castro as a larger-than-life leader and legendary revolutionary in order, while highlighting improvements in Cuba's education and healthcare under his rule. Now, if we take a quick look at Fidel Castro's run of power here, political repression. Castro's government was known for silencing and imprisoning political opponents, journalists, and human rights activists. Cuban economy under Castro struggled due to heavy state control and restriction on private enterprise, leading to widespread poverty and shortages. Castro's regime accused of violating human rights. Cuban people experienced severe limitations on freedom of speech. This is sounding a lot like Justin Trudeau here running Canada. Forced labor camps. So Trudeau hasn't got to that one quite yet. In other news, we've got Captain Schmuck here. So he was meeting with the new premier of New Brunswick, and there's some awkward cringe in here because, well, she technically ran as a liberal. She kind of hid that information. She took the liberal branding off of her. She's not a fan of the carbon tax, and yet here they are having to answer these exact questions. We got a couple of them here.
Hi. During the election campaign, the word liberal was noticeably absent from a lot of Premier Holt's campaign materials. And
you see how he tucked his lip in there when they asked that? He didn't like that question right away, and that was his physical reaction to it. He's usually pretty good at holding his physical reactions to questions he doesn't like, but there's a blatant tell.
last year, she said you were seen as too far to the left. So I'm wondering how this affects the relationship. Maybe both of you can comment on how this will affect agreements on some of the things you're talking about.
I'm really, really excited to be able to work with Susan, with a fellow Liberal, to deliver on real progressive priorities. The challenge we had with a Conservative Premier here is the same challenge we're having with Conservative politicians across the country, that they don't actually want to step up on investment.
So spoiler alert, they give her an opportunity to talk too, and they both don't answer the question.
Ideology get in the way, energy solutions that are needed.
Energy solutions needed. Aren't you the one who just put a 35% cap on oil and gas in Canada, the first country ever to do that?
And being able to work with someone who is so like-minded is very, very exciting, and I'm really glad she won.
He's losing the words because I don't think he respects her. Anyone who pushes back against this guy, his narcissism doesn't allow him to have any respect, even working respect for them. I secretly think he doesn't like her, especially since she was removing the Liberal branding off of when she was running for office here.
Very, very.
New Brunswickers want a government that's going to get things done, and they didn't see that with the last government. They didn't see improvements to their healthcare system.
So she just goes on and on. She doesn't answer the question either. All she says is she'll look at creating her own carbon tax, which is allowed under Justin Trudeau's reign of terror here. You can make your own carbon tax as long as it gives as much money back to the government as the normal carbon tax. So the next one here, he's asked about the carbon tax and how they don't agree on it. This is obviously one that Trudeau doesn't like as well.
So one issue you two didn't agree on last year was the carbon tax. Premier Holt called, wrote you and said, we need a 1-year pause on this. Premier Holt, I'd like to hear from you whether you now think that New Brunswickers can afford another increase in the carbon tax, and Prime Minister, whether you'd be interested in hearing that conversation.
You'll notice her body language here, which is a little cut off. I'll play it again here, but basically she's swaying back and forth while she's holding herself. This is a method of soothing the body and dealing with stress. And another animal that actually does this are elephants. They have a sway. When they're like really stressed out, that's what they do. You'll often see them in like zoos when they live in really bad situations. They got the elephant sway going on. That's not a good thing. Just watch it again here.
Can afford another increase in the carbon tax.
You see her swaying right here.
Prime Minister, whether you'd be interested in hearing that conversation.
As I said, one of the things we agree on is that you can't build a strong economy unless you're protecting the environment, and that's something that the Premier was very, very clear on. The backstop that the federal government brought in puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians across the country with the campaign.
He just had to do that, didn't he? He had to bring up that lie again. So she'll eventually come in and say she's going to plan to do their own backstop for New Brunswick. That satisfies her master here. So we'll just skip ahead. We don't need to listen to any more Trudeau. Now, this one's interesting because she starts talking about school food programs, and they have one in New Brunswick, but it doesn't reach some of the northern schools.
And the fact that our current school food program doesn't reach certain schools in the north, doesn't get distributed equitably across the province, and to seek support from the federal government program to fund the need here in New Brunswick in partnership with the provincial government that's ready to make sure that every kid has a chance to learn with a universal school food program that every kid in this province can access.
In our spring budget, we put forward as a core part of the Fairness for Every Generation, $1 billion on the table for school food programs across the country.
And yet there's still kids in northern New Brunswick who don't have food, Trudeau. So essentially you're putting money there and you're not actually doing anything. You're not delivering meals, which is exactly what Pierre Poilievre keeps calling you out for in the House of Commons. I should note too, having a national school food program where it's like kind of extra money to fill in the gaps across Canada, great idea. But Trudeau put this in and he's just trying to claim credit for all the provincial school food programs that already exist in Canada. There should be a minimal budget, doesn't need to be $1 billion to fill in the gaps where we need it in our country. Moreover, get rid of the carbon tax, stop spending so much money, have inflation drop down, the prices of food will come down, and then families, parents can buy food for their kids. Huh? How about that, Trudeau? In other news here, Premier John Horgan is dead at 65.
Some breaking news out west from British Columbia. Former BC Premier John Horgan has died. Horgan served as Premier for 5 years before stepping down in 2022. Horgan first became Premier in 2017 thanks to an agreement with the BC Greens, marking a return to power for the BC NDP for the first time in 16 years. Last year, he was appointed ambassador to Germany. In June, he announced he was on leave after being diagnosed with thyroid cancer, marking his third bout with the disease. John Horgan was just 65 years old.
Condolences to the Horgan family. We've also got this going on, which is absolutely insane. More than 100 pew-pew shots were put into a recording studio outside of Toronto. Like, we're talking serious havoc in the streets of Toronto.
Here today to provide more details about a very dangerous incident that unfolded last night, which led to the arrest of 23 individuals and the seizure of 16 firearms. At approximately 11:20 p.m., our officers were in the area on an unrelated investigation. A stolen car pulled up and 3 individuals exited. They opened fire on a recording studio and the people that were gathered outside. This brazen act of violence escalated into an exchange of gunfire between 2 groups, during which one of our unmarked police vehicles with officers inside was struck by bullets. As the suspects attempted to flee the scene in their stolen vehicle, our officers acted swiftly and boxed the vehicle in. One suspect was apprehended after a brief foot chase, while 2 others managed to escape and are still being sought by police. During a subsequent search of the area, several firearms were recovered, likely discarded by the fleeing suspects. Officers also secured the recording studio, arresting several individuals inside as well as others that were trying to flee. Additional firearms were recovered from inside the building, the rooftop, and even hidden in garbage bins nearby. In total, 23 people have been taken into custody and 16 firearms seized, including 2 assault-style rifles and multiple handguns. I want to stress how remarkable it is that in such a volatile and dangerous situation, nobody was injured.
That is unreal. Trudeau's Canada, folks. What has he brought into our country? Duck and moose hunters misbehaving again. That's comment of the day. There's only 3 recording studios in that area. Not hard to narrow down which one it was, which is why the media is silent on it. I'm guessing since it's been a few hours, all 23 have probably been released on bail. Grouse hunters did this. 10 years mandatory jail time when you have an illegal weapon and said that exactly, and put them to work cleaning out sewers. Why would we have people sit in our jails doing nothing? They have to earn their keep. Duck and deer hunters in Toronto. They'll be out on bail by Wednesday morning. Another story going on here. We've got the ports have been locked out and shut down, which could have been devastation for Canada.
Port workers in Montreal are on the picket lines after being locked out, halting the movement of crucial goods and merchandise at Canada's 2nd largest port. The Port Authority warns of catastrophic consequences for the Canadian economy.
One day at the Port of Montreal, it's 400 million of merchandise that goes in and out or flow through the Port of Montreal.
The Maritime Employers Association initiated the lockout after nearly 1,200 workers rejected a contract offer tabled last week. The union representing longshore workers says key sticking points like schedules have not been addressed, adding the two sides have not been at the bargaining table since the end of September.
We have made numerous offers to sit down, but they refuse to respect our right to collective negotiation.
Another labor dispute has shut down Canada's busiest port, Vancouver, with the holidays just around the corner. It's the most important time of year for retailers, including this newly opened furniture store that imports pieces from Turkey and China.
We are waiting right now for a container. We're supplying actually Costco, and in a container we're fitting about 800 to 1,000 products. We can't go out of stock because then it affects our relationships with our partners.
The longer the disputes drag on, the more challenging it will be for supply chains to be fully restored.
Each day of a work stoppage takes about 4 to 5 days to clear the backlog it created.
Union leaders say the simultaneous lockouts seem to be designed to force the federal government's hand. For now, Labour Minister Stephen McKinnon is not intervening.
So we've got updates now. He has intervened, which we can see here, which is binding arbitration.
This morning, Canada's largest East and West Coast ports sit silent. But the consequences impact the lives of working people and families across Canada. As Canada's Minister of Labour, it is my duty and responsibility to secure industrial peace in the national interest of all Canadians and to promote conditions favourable to the settlement of the parties' disputes. So today, I have invoked my authorities under the Canada Labour Code. Under Section 107 of the Code, I've directed the Canada Industrial Relations Board to order that all operations and duties at the ports resume, and to assist the parties in settling their collective agreements by imposing final and binding arbitration. This will bring the necessary resolutions for both workers and employers. I have also directed the board to extend the terms of the existing collective agreements until new ones are established. There will be a debate about this, the second such use of this instrument to settle a long-standing labor dispute. I welcome that debate.
The main thing to consider now is, remember Jagmeet just a couple days ago? He was saying, hey, Pierre, where you at? There's a fight going on. That whole nonsense. He said he wouldn't vote with Trudeau on a confidence motion if he didn't support the workers. So what's going to happen now? It's funny, I found a clip that's comparing that exact situation.
Any vote in Parliament that in any way impacts your rights, we're going to vote no. We're going to vote no. We tell that right now. Whether that vote is a confidence vote or not, whether that triggers an election or not, I'm telling Justin Trudeau and the Liberals right now, you're never going to count on us if you're going to take away the rights of workers. Never. Never going to happen.
This is the hill Jagmeet Singh is going to die on. Is he going to vote non-confidence in the government and take down Justin Trudeau? Or is he going to support his buddy Justin Trudeau like he always does?